Hey there, Knicks fans. And assorted bandwagon followers who just are here for the vibes. We know you're out there. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. He says with such pride. Oh, my God. Jeremy Cohen. I don't even have to ask. I see the jersey you're wearing. I didn't know you owned that jersey, by the way.
I did. It's the only one I own. It is Immanuel Quickley. Well, I'm not going to keep moving, but just trust me. It's an Immanuel Quickley jersey. Had to break it out for this one. So
appropriate.
But ask it anyway. Ask the question anyway, John.
How are you doing, Jeremy? I can't even say.
I'm doing great, John. You know, but if there's one word I had to describe it and maybe bring it all home, especially in this jersey, I'm feeling cute, man. I'm feeling really cute. Like everything about this, it's a cuteness overload. I mean, my God, it's wonderful. It's just very, you know, it's mignon, as the French might say, but not me. I'm going to say cute. Plain old English.
You know, that really is the perfect place for us. First of all, that poor man.
Listen, when you come onto a Knicks pod and you insult what they're building, this is the pushback you're going to get. That's just the way it is. Respect to him. I'm glad he made some valid points when he was here. I appreciate the time that he had, but yeah, it was my turn to dish it. I couldn't not do it.
No,
just couldn't.
Look, all kidding. So for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, Giancarlo, I'm actually forget his last name. Giancarlo covers the Miami Heat. Does a great job for them. Hosts a podcast, part of the Blue Wire podcast network, and is very lucky to be able to cover the Miami Heat because the Miami Heat have been one of the model franchises of the NBA for really since Pat Riley got there. And you know what? I'll say it. If I was a person who had a podcast about the Miami Heat and I went on a Knicks podcast on Friday morning before this weekend's games, I've been known, Jeremy, I don't know if you know this, I've been known to say some controversial things in the past. Did you know that about me?
Once in a blue moon, I have heard you say a controversial thing or two. Yeah.
I could have seen myself getting on a Knicks podcast and being like, yeah, it's good for you guys. A little pat on the head. I think it was really, and he got on with Andrew with the pregame pod, and he was actually being very gracious, but he did use a few choice words, and one of which was describing, Jalen Brunson's season as cute, but also just like the general tone of like, yeah, wake me when the Knicks do something impressive. And I think it was really perfect timing, and having like putting Giancarlo aside, who it does great work, and I'm kidding.
Yes,
but like, I think the rest of the NBA before this weekend, don't you think that was, if you had to ask, like, if you went and asked any like podcast hosts, asked any like try to take consensus of a group of fans, maybe not the media, but like even probably some media, and you were like, okay, really, Knicks have won 7 in a row. What do you think? Don't you think most of them would have given you some version of like, yeah, it's nice, it's fun, right?
Yeah, the goalposts keep moving. That's just the nature of it. I mean, the thing that's crazy to me is, as I was listening to that pod and also thinking about the general landscape of fans, where it's like, all right, yeah, you think a 7-game winning streak is cute. Fine, so be it. I'm sure you're not alone. This is their second 7-game winning streak at that time of this season. So like cute would be, oh, wow, it happened once. Like you luck into these wins, but you don't. You face the competition that's in front of you. We've seen good teams lose against bad teams. I mean, the Celtics lost 3 times to the Magic this year. Cut to last year when we were complaining, how could the Knicks have lost multiple games to Orlando? They're not supposed to be good. It happens. You just have to play the teams that are in front of you. And like, yes, as you're saying, if you were to go on to another pod, if you were in that position, you might want to punch down a little bit. I feel like it's probably not the best decision to punch down at an audience. So be it, whatever. He and I maybe disagree on that, but that's cool. it's more just like, I do understand that respect is not given, it's earned. And when you're trying to get out of the mud of really maybe 15 of the last 20 seasons, is that even being generous? 15?
You're being kind.
17?
I think you're maybe a little bit closer to that number. Yeah.
I understand why someone might look at this team and say, oh, it's a nice run. Like it's cool, but where's the superstar? And yet you have two stars who are playing at unbelievable levels. And yeah, if you're from the outside looking in, you're thinking, well, it's going to stop, right? Like it's not going to keep continuing. And I understand the skepticism. I think if it were a quote unquote smart team, and by that I mean a team that has a more storied reputation with winning, or that hasn't had quite the lows that the Knicks have had, it would be more believable. Like if the Knicks were, I don't know, like Denver's not the best example. Like if it were a town where it wasn't quite like New York, Sacramento, like that tier of teams that just hasn't been able to get out of its own way, there's something to be said of, yeah, they've really cleaned up their act and they're doing well. The Knicks don't get that benefit. And we're talking about this just really quickly. We're talking about this in the KFS group chat where I felt like, it's great to have this representation of people like Kendrick Perkins saying, look at the Knicks, they're awesome. And other members of the media sticking up for them. I was just thinking about how many of these teams also have someone with a loud enough voice who punches down on his own team, this being Stephen A. Smith, where it's like,
oh my God,
it's cool. We can all look at Stephen A. Smith and say like, that's absurd. We don't take him seriously. And that's true, but he's still an influencer. He's still adding to a discourse that we're trying to say, this is a really good team and we're having fun and no one should tell us otherwise. I don't really care if people are upset about Knicks fans celebrating a regular season success or winning streak, or even if it was just the previous game or the game before that or the game before that. It doesn't matter. There's so much in this world that's just stressful, unhappy, rough, and we take joy in sports. So why is it that we can't finally use a form of escape for celebration and not for punishment of any sort? Or it doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm really happy. That's the bottom line, and I'm feeling cute.
I feel pretty.
So pretty.
I was thinking of the Trading Places quote. Looking good. More and more feeling good. Yeah, that's us. Three things. One, Stephen A. Smith is an entertainer, and if you are entertained by him, Godspeed. I don't really care what he says, but you're right. He is an influencer, and he's almost moved into this position now where he's like playing the foil. And him taking whatever stance and I'm vaguely familiar with the stance that he's taking, it's almost amplifying the positive vibes, because he kind of sounds so ridiculous at this point. That's number one. Number two, as far as enjoying the moment and it being okay to enjoy the moment, the Sacramento Kings all season long have been lighting the beam, right? Which is awesome. And that's great. And it's so cool that they get to do that after every win, and the fans love it. And like the team seems to be rallying behind it and the whole thing. No one, I don't think, has said boo about that or them doing that.
They did.
But
they did initially for whatever
they did. Okay. And I stand corrected.
Because the Kings started at 0-4 and now look at them go. And now it's a fun thing that they get to do.
Yeah. So but the point is, you're completely right. It's sports. If you're not enjoying sports, then what are you doing? The biggest thing, though, you nailed it, and I hadn't even thought about it. Yes, it's the 20 plus years or whatever you want to say. It's 15 out of 20 or 17 out of 20 or 17 out, whatever your math is. That's a huge part of it. But you said a word, smart, right? You were like, a smart organization. This is a team that is still owned by James Dolan, who we're not going to get into a James Dolan discussion, but his reputation around the greater, NBA fan sphere is what it is. Okay. They're run by Leon Rose and Worldwide Wes, who are two people that never had any experience running a basketball team before they came here. They're coached by Tom Thibodeau, who, putting what I may think about Tom Thibodeau aside, has kind of become a sort of punching bag in his own way, right? Amongst NBA fans, like with the articles that have been written about like the however many stages of Tom Thibodeau and this and that. And it's like, so there's that. And then you have the roster, which is like the mid three. Julius Randle like has a rep, amongst NBA fans about like, oh, he's but he's gonna, cave at the like all the things. Like, and Knicks fans are complaining about the same stuff too. But even like RJ Barrett, even like Jalen Brunson, $100 million contract for a guy who was perceived, by some people even before the summer as a backup. Like all of these things from the top all the way on down, I think play into the perception that people have. And then, but when you put that up against the numbers and the data, which I know we care about, and I think a lot of Knicks fans care about at this point, it just doesn't compute. And you could say what you want about all of the different components and whatnot. The data is what it is, and the data says what it says, which is that this is one of the elite teams in the NBA. And now it's gotten to the point where we don't even have to rely on the plus minus and the net rating and all those sorts of things. It's just, how about this for data? To quote a former Knicks coach, wins and losses,
And my axe.
How's that for? Yes, I forgot my axe on this podcast. That's a bad job by me. I should have brought the axe. No, it's just wins and losses, and it's not just this streak, but the streak certainly helps. And when you add it all up, it is real. I think, and that's what this is a very, very long-winded way of getting to what I think the main point is, which is that I think this weekend solidified for a lot of people what maybe some suspicions had been, which is that, yes, this is a real team. And the fact that there are conversations going around, the likes of Bill Simmons, who say what you want about Bill Simmons, but again, talking about guys who are influencers, guys who carry weight, for him to go on his pod this morning and have an open conversation with Ryan Russillo or be like, wait a minute, can this team can they go to the Eastern Conference Finals? Are they a threat to do real thing? That's where we're at now, which is, again, I keep saying the same thing week after week. It's wild to me. It's wild.
Yeah, we're in that conversation. And, the thing that I love about our weekly pods is we can kind of zoom out from each game and just take it week by week. And even then, I'd like to take an even further step back because we're experiencing euphoria right now. I agree with what you're saying. We're this, it feels earned, everything that's going on. It's a homegrown team for the most part that is also being propelled by players who wanted to be here, Julius Randle, who wanted to take less to build something here. Yep. Jalen Brunson, who wanted to, we could talk about the narrative before was Leon Rose just wants to pay his family. Well, guess what? His family happens to be really friggin' good at basketball, and that's okay. We'll take that. But if you then zoom out even further, 6 months ago, we were talking about Donovan Mitchell.
Yes.
And then
a lot.
Right. And then he didn't get traded to the Knicks. And then maybe 4 months ago, we're having conversations on collateral damage that might be caused from that. A month later, we're talking about, is Tom Thibodeau going to get fired? This West Coast trip, it always felt like he was one loss away from getting canned. Not believing in Julius Randle. RJ is struggling a lot. And it just, everything started to mesh with time and patience. And, you get a shrewd decision here, taking out Derrick Rose in rotation. You remove Cam Reddish, maybe, obviously somewhere in the middle or before that was Evan Fournier taking a step back. And you just kind of let these things unfold. And I know that we as fans live and die for every game, but it's just amazing to me to think about how when you take that step back, this season has really, it wasn't all great, but it's that ascent that makes it feel all the better. And I think that this past week being the rivalry week and going 4-0, we did our predictions. I would have signed up for the 2-2 that you picked. No. I picked 3-1 because I was hopeful that they would do it. If you had asked me they're going to go 4-0, I would have said no. I just don't believe it. Not because I don't believe in the team, but because I believe that other teams are good because they had to kind of It is. And right, like I was at the game, the first Celtics game at MSG, and there were Celtics fans everywhere. My entire section was just filled with Celtics fans. And truth be told, I almost, maybe like a month and a half ago, I floated the idea to myself, like, maybe I should sell the tickets, because like, I just don't want to go to the Garden and watch the Celtics run over the Knicks. Like, I don't want it. And I didn't. I decided, no, I want to go. I have the tickets. I've never seen Tatum in person. I'd like to see that opportunity. And I went. I had a blast. They won. It was great, taunting Celtics fans on the way out. It was perfect. There was maybe a teenager sitting next to me. I didn't say anything to him, but I clapped really loudly when I had to. Listen, whatever. I had a couple drinks flowing through me. Most of us have been there. And it was a great win. It was a stress-free win. It was nice. And I thought, like, maybe this isn't the win of the season, but it's up there. Like, the list of quality teams that the Knicks have beaten is not slowly, actually, is quickly going from, no pun intended, one hand to another where you can count them.
Can I tell you real quick? I had missed the first two post games because I was still on vacation, and I was coming back for the Celtics game. And just to not leave you stranded on an island where you're like, I don't want to see them get railroaded. And that was you a month ago. As I was watching the post games for the Washington game and the Pelicans game, I was thinking to myself, man, I'm going to come back and do the post game and they're going to lose because I'm going to come back to it because I'm like, no, because there was still that fear that, like, look, the Celtics are really good. Like, we beat them last time. Well, this is their opportunity to get it back. And I had to just share that.
No, but I hear you. It's not about viewing the Knicks as poor, at least not within the last couple weeks or 3 weeks. It's more about viewing these other teams that are really good just as that good. And then, of course, the Nets they destroyed them. They 47 points in the first quarter and just obliterating them. And that felt good. You want to beat up on that type of team. And granted, the Nets beat the Celtics a few days later. And then you have the Miami game, which to me, I would certainly hope for those who still felt a little bothered by the sins of Julius's past, by the thumbs down, by everything that happened last season, that this eradicated it at the very least, that we have at the very least started from neutral. If, like, for the people who are still out on him, that's my hope. Because I mean, that game, like, that to me was, this is going to be the best game of the season. Like, not that this team is peaked, but in terms of like how dramatic that win was, you can't get much better than Julius Randle going off and hitting a 3-pointer that of a ball that he almost lost, that he almost kicked out of bounds, that Jimmy Butler almost stole, that was a broken possession, where he's not a clutch player, all these things. And he just splashes a 3 and puts his hands up like he's Ewing going to the finals.
And running over Tibbs in the process.
And you're thinking, all right, that was great. That was awesome. What a win. I can't fall asleep after that. And I couldn't. And you were working your post game and had other stuff to do with the newsletter. So you probably couldn't either. And then you cut to Sunday and Brunson's not playing. The Celtics have revenge. You're back in Boston. It's a double overtime game that Immanuel Quickley propels the Knicks to, a homegrown player that we've always, no shade on RJ, but like this just, RJ had the expectations coming into the league, and Quickley, it was very different. It was like an end of the first round player, someone who creeped in from the second round, rightfully so. And he was just phenomenal. And John, I got to tell you, I have watched that Horford attempted 3 24 times. And every single time I have watched it, it's like it was a car crash. Like, I couldn't look away. Yeah. Every time I've watched it, I'm conditioned to thinking he's going to hit this. And I know he's not going to hit it because I saw the game live with my very own eyes. And I keep rewatching the play, and I can't believe it. And it's a testament to just how good the Knicks team was, where that whole game, they found a way to win. So that is my long-winded way of just saying, this was an amazing week, and I couldn't fall asleep after last night's game either. And it's just the regular season, but it feels like the start of something really special for the next few years. And it's just awesome to see. It's remarkable.
You need to start somewhere. And Yeah, there are exceptions, the 99 Knicks being one of them, where they're somewhere where they started was when the playoffs started. And actually, that's not even accurate. They really got started about 2.5 weeks before the playoffs began. But there's a difference in that team, even with the relatively recent additions of Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby, that team had a lot of sweat equity together. Obviously, Patrick Ewing, but also like Allen Houston had been there for a while. Larry Johnson had been there for a while. Like you can maybe pull that off if you're that type of team. This team is new together for the most part. Mitch has been here. This is his 5th season. RJ and Julius have been here. This is their 4th seasons. And then Immanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin. And I'm sure I'm probably forgetting someone else. Been here now 3 years, but like Brunson, new. Grimes, relatively new. Josh Hart, obviously very new. Hardenstein, new. So like it does feel pretty new. And you need time and you need experiences. And like one of the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get to the personal injury report, which is kind of feeds into this. One of the topics of conversation today that I noticed on Twitter, somebody actually asked me, I think tagged me in with, are we peaking too early? And like, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not sure it matters. And the reason is because if you're a Knicks team that doesn't have the hasn't been through the wars in like the playoffs or anything, like going through this now can only help. Going through these battles and coming out on top, especially when earlier in the season you went through some of these battles and God knows you did not come out on top. And there was this team up until, like a month ago, was defined by their inability to come up big in big spots. Think about that and think about how that much that has turned around. It has been something to behold, which is a good transition because, I think the personal injury report this week focuses on Jalen Brunson. First, let me remind everybody who our presenting sponsor is Weiss and Rosenblum. The law offices in Weiss and Rosenblum, call them today, 212-366-6100, or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. No case is too big or too small. Personal attention to your matter is a priority. Consultations are free. And of course, Weiss and Rosenblum doesn't get paid unless you do. Once more, 212-366-6100. Previous results do not guarantee future outcomes. If you think you might have a case, give them a call. Speak with a veteran attorney and not a rookie. We don't. So Weiss and Rosenblum, they get all the information they need about injuries. We don't have a lot of information right now on the Jalen Brunson injury. All we know is that it's an injured foot, a sore foot. It's a different foot / ankle, lower body appendage, whatever, than the one he twisted in Miami on Friday night. So again, we don't really know where it came from. We don't really know anything about the severity of it. All we know, as we're sitting here recording this at 7:30 on Monday night, is that he's once again questionable. My question to you is, do you think this is going to sound a little ridiculous because, like, again, we're sitting here talking about an injury that we don't know the severity of, and we're kind of making assumptions. But do you think this could actually be a positive in two ways? One, not that they haven't shown already that they could win without Jalen Brunson. They've had some outstanding performances earlier this year without Jalen Brunson. They beat the Heat without Jalen Brunson. They obviously should have beat the Mavericks without Jalen Brunson, and it took a 1 in 13,000 thing to happen for them to lose that game. But so it's not like they haven't been able to withstand his loss before, but to further cement that, and this bleeds into the next conversation about Immanuel Quickley, to do it now in a way where Immanuel Quickley is stepping up and kind of performing like a star, performing like a star in Jalen Brunson's absence. And then there's the other part of it about Jalen Brunson's getting a little rest. So for all those reasons, I'm wondering, again, with the caveat that we still don't know the severity of the injury, hopefully it's not a big deal. Maybe not the worst thing in the world. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
I don't want to ignore the Hornets because I feel like if you overlook them, that could be a trap game. That's the sort of thing. But there is something to be said of all right, if Jalen Brunson could go and the Knicks don't play him and they do have Immanuel Quickley in his place and they have Deuce McBride seeing more minutes than just a little bit of a rotation in the first half in the Boston game. What's the harm? What's the harm in him waiting to go for Sacramento. With that said, he is a gamer. He has toughened out a lot this season when necessary, especially with his hip. So if they feel he's ready to go, I trust the medical staff. I feel that if that's the move they want to make, then that's the right move. I'm not going to say it's the right move to like hold him out, but yeah, if he's not playing, I think you could certainly take positives away from that, where you're giving someone like Quickley an opportunity to step up once again. Like I said, you could get McBride in there. You have more minutes that could be distributed in that case. So that's the beauty of this team. There's so much depth that it's really just the next man up. But I will say, for Julius's standpoint, it definitely would help to have Jalen back in there, because as great of a week as Julius had, I mean, he was Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
Let's say it.
Yeah, we shout him out.
Of the week. Here we go.
You could tell towards the end of the game that, and I don't mean this as any disrespect whatsoever to IQ, Brunson does a really great job of settling Julius in a way that's like kind of setting the table. And IQ was working with him. You could see them communicating and everything, but it'd be nice to not just have IQ and Julius. It'd be nice to have IQ, Julius, and Jalen Brunson out there. So if there's a way for them to all be healthy, would love to see it.
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was funny. I thought it was cute that Julius Randle, I think he was joking after the game about like, I might give that whole load management thing another look after this.
He was,
after the Celtics game. Yeah, I think he was joking.
Yeah.
And to that end, and maybe we'll talk about him in game ball, but like, I have to think that there is a lot of pride if at stake, not at stake, but like, because that implies that like you lose your pride if you like sit out a game. But like, he's now 60. What are we? We're 66 games into the season, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think because they have 16 games left. So it's okay, 60,
yep, 39, 27, 66.
There you go. He hasn't missed a game in 66 games, and I don't know what the exact number of players in the league that have not missed a game. It's certainly under 10, and I want to say it's like around 5. I know Mikal Bridges was one of them, and I don't know how that works because he got traded and like missed it, whatever. But like, it's a short list. And the guys that have played all the games, I know Anthony Edwards is one. But I don't know how many other ones like have taken on as large a load as Julius has. So I think, good job by him winning Eastern Conference Player of the Week. I think it's maybe a little bit of a recognition of the fact that like he just goes out there and he suits up every game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wanted to make a go at least appearing in all 82. But we'll see what happens there. Okay.
One more thing. I just wanted to.
Yes.
So with this injury report, which is great, I love talking about it. We always, and it makes sense why, we focus on the physical injuries a lot. And I've just been thinking this week, and it was interesting because I really appreciated what you said on the pod, where you took ownership and said, I lost the human element somewhere in there. And I, like that resonated with me as someone who also felt, listen, I think there's just an opportunity for Julius to be elsewhere. I think a divorce would be right. It didn't happen. And I'm really glad it didn't happen. But I don't know. I was thinking about the fact how if I were in his shoes with how last year went down, I wouldn't cope. Like, I can't handle that. I'm not strong enough. Just emotionally, mentally, certainly not physically because I'm not in the NBA. It's not the sort of thing that I could handle. And I have just been thinking about like, I'm fine, but in my personal life, my professional life, there have been more changes in the last 6 or so months than I am accustomed to. And I get to go through it on my own. I get to work through it. And like I said, doing fine. To be in Julius' position, I couldn't even imagine. The money, the fame, it doesn't matter. Like, he still has to show up for work, be disciplined. Not disciplined in terms of like disciplinary action, but like he has a work ethic, all these different things. And I think to kind of harp on the question, or like to go back to what we were saying before, what makes this season feel so special for me as well is how bad last season was put even more into perspective how good this season feels, and how good it feels to continue rooting for Julius. I mean, it's not like I was rooting against him. It's just different now. It's purely different. And like you said, I'm so happy we get to experience him on our team and that he's feeling joy and he's found a position where he needs to be. I'm sure there are going to be fans who say, well, it has to show in the playoffs. And I agree. And listen, a big part of that season, it fizzled in the playoffs and that was disappointing. This is more sustainable. But yeah, I just, I don't know. I wanted to talk about that because I appreciate you bringing it up because it's just, I'm just really happy for him too.
I don't know if it's too much to be like, we live in an era where if you're not happy with how everything's going, I don't want to say in our day and age, you're encouraged to like it, I don't know how you're younger than me, so you'd be better to speak about this than me. But my feeling is that whereas once upon a time it was like tough it out and battle through it. Now it is more like, no, don't subject yourself to that. There are other healthier ways to go about it. I think when you're a professional athlete under contract with a team, you don't have the ability. If the team wants you to be there and they're not going to trade you, then you got to figure it out, right? One way or the other. So. But and to even more of his credit, and I think this goes exactly towards what you're saying. Even having underperformed last season to the degree that he did, he still had the opportunity to be like, "Get me out of here, like trade me." Like bad players who are coming off bad seasons could still make trade demands, And by all indications, he never even thought about doing that. So, all the more credit to him. And it has been really great to watch. And it's if New Yorkers are defined by their resilience, I mean, show me another, a more resilient guy than Julius Randle. Okay. This is fun. There's a brief essay question here for this week before we go game ball and detention, although I think we're going to skip detention for the second week in a row. Our essay question. This is, I think, I'm going to give a brief answer and then I'm going to cede the floor to Mr. Cohen. What do you think the number to extend Immanuel Quickley will be, given that he is now the 6th man of the year front runner? Here's where I'm at, Jeremy. I can't believe I'm saying this. I am at the point of wondering whether the next contract starts with a 1.
I knew you were going to say it.
And
no, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking at less because again, like NBA finances are always kind of changing and adjusting, and I'm looking at the 4 contracts, the 4 sub max 5 sub max rookie extensions that were handed out last summer. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe these were the 5. Jordan Poole, 4 for 1. It was 120 guaranteed. Or whereabouts? Something.
I'd have to double check.
I think it was a bigger number, but it was for the guaranteed, it was about 4 for 120.
Yes.
Tyler Hero, 4 for 113, 14 guaranteed. Mr. RJ Barrett, 4 for 107 guaranteed. Anthony Simons, 4 for 100. That was fully guaranteed. And then DeAndre Hunter, 4 for 90, I believe, was fully guaranteed. Immanuel Quickley, again, I sit here, I'm going to say the words I'm going to say, and as I'm saying them, I'm like, am I really saying these words? And yet, I think I kind of have to say them. Has Immanuel Quickley been better than all 5 of those guys this season in terms of impacting winning basketball, not taking anything off the table? Anthony Simons, wildly gifted offensive player, a defensive liability. Jordan Poole can be an incredibly gifted offensive player when he's on, has not been so much this year, some inconsistency and defensive issues that prevented him from being on the floor in the finals last year. Tyler Hero, I guess you could argue has had the best season out of all of them, because I think offensively he's had a really, really, really good season. But again, there's defensive concerns there. Who didn't I mention? RJ. I don't need to talk about RJ. We know what RJ has done. And then DeAndre Hunter is kind of just like, again, prototypical big wing, supposed to be able to do all the things you need him to do. Has he popped in a significant way? I don't know. Those are the 5 non-max rookie extensions last year.
There's one more, again, by the way.
Which are the other 2 that I'm forgetting?
Well, one more I can think of, which is Keldon. My name is Kendall Johnson.
4 for 80. Excuse me.
Yes.
4 for 80. Yes. Again, good player. Has taken a big usage jump this year. I think maybe the biggest usage jump in the league. And with that usage jump has come a commensurate drop off in perhaps his effectiveness. Who's the other one? Who am I forgetting?
No, I thought that was it, but I'll look back at the 2019 draft.
No, I think I think that's it. So yeah, the floor is yours. I don't know if I said anything that you strongly disagree with, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Hold on, I'm just looking one more time to see, but I think that's pretty much everyone. Brandon Clark was
in the range that we're talking about.
Yeah, he's well below that. Yeah, that's. Kevin Porter Jr., but that's a weird contract again, because it's first year's guaranteed and the other aren't. But
still, I mean, this weren't saying again. It's essentially a year-to-year contract. It's still a $20 million a year contract for a guy that, like, I think there are people around the league who are like, you know what the Houston Rockets need to do to fix things? Get Kevin Porter Jr. off their team, and he's a $20 million a year player. You know, it's like, anyway. Okay.
So I love this because this is how our brains are different.
Okay.
You go for, does it start with a 1? And I go for, is the contract going to ascend or descend? Which when paired together, it's the whole kit and caboodle. I do agree with you. I think it's going to be starting with a 1.
Okay.
I have a theory, and it could either be proven correctly this summer, it could be proven incorrectly this summer, or it's not proven at all. Which is that when a player is signed to an extension that increases, they are more likely to be dealt. Whereas if a player is signed to something that are decreases, they are less likely to be dealt. Of course, the Knicks extended Mitchell. Well, they re-signed Mitchell Robinson on a descending deal. They extended RJ Barrett on an ascending deal. Throwing that aside, that's just something I have in the back of my mind. For Quickley, the way I see it is I would like to see him on a descending contract, but I see it as he is. What is the argument for him to make under that? Is it because he's not starting? Because if he's closing games, and if we're saying that's what matters the most, and it does, then that's warranted. The real question I have, and listen, the cap goes up. We know this means that salaries inherently go up. That's just basic inflation. Jalen Brunson signed for, we can call it 4 years, $104 million. He's opting out of that 4th year.
Yep.
It's really like 3 years, 78, but let's just say 4 years, $104 million to make it cleaner. I suppose the Knicks could pay Immanuel Quickley more than that. With that said, are they going to? Like, there's somebody said of RJ being a starter, making $100+ million. The Knicks wanted to extend him. That's how they operate. And typically, if they don't extend you, that doesn't bode super well for your future as a Knick. Although, maybe that's just Cam Reddish. Maybe that's a different story. In my mind, we'll also see with Obi. Just curious about how that unfolds. But I do see where you're coming from. Where it's like, it's not that Immanuel Quickley isn't deserving of a huge payday. It's, are you really going to pay him more than Jalen Brunson? And so I can't help but wonder if it'll top out around where, like Hunter is making $90 million over 4 years, that sort of thing. And again, what Hunter would make the following year versus what Quickley would make would be, Hunter would be making more than $90 million guaranteed. But I would like to see Quickley get signed with a large contract with incentives that include all NBA, all defense. And the crazy part is, even if the all defense is considered unlikely as a bonus, I think that it could very easily hit. It could right, hit. Like that thing. You tweeted something about Quickley earlier, and then DJ Zulo said something about how like he plays like he does something like defends like a 7-year vet. That's what he said. And it's like I saw that and I thought like it's so wild that he plays like a 7-year vet, and I totally agree. But he also plays with the energy and the joy of a 7-year-old. Like, it's just great. And you pair them together, like how he was still out there, like just the energy that he had after 55 minutes. And like, I'm not that much older than him, and I was exhausted after watching that game. So the idea that it would happen where he's just like, yeah, I could play another game like after this. That's totally fine. Like that's fantastic. So, it's funny how the conversation. Yes, please.
4 for 96.
I could see it, especially because here's the thing, right? We know that narratives, I don't mean this in a negative way, but like it's important to have a number out there, right? Like for Brunson, it was important to have 9 figures in that. I think it's I think you're right in terms of like that 4-year, $96 million guaranteed range. But I think with the incentives, it's going to propel him over to 100.
And why not it's the Julius incentives was games played plus playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was part of the Julius incentives, and Hardenstein too?
Hardenstein's also playoffs.
Playoffs. Okay. So they have a history of this. So, we'll see. Best thing I've heard all week is from Ian Begley when he was like, I would be surprised if the Knicks did not, I forget what he essentially, was saying like he'd be surprised if the Knicks didn't lock him up this summer, which
and awesome. I have to call timeout because I know that we as fans love our players. We want to keep them. They're here. We don't want them to go anywhere. I can't fault the Knicks for just doing due diligence in terms of understanding what his value is. That's just, it seems like that's what they wanted to know. They want to know how they could value each one of their players, because in the event that something happens, they just wanted to know. It doesn't mean that they're looking to usher this player out the door or whatever it is. They just wanted to know. And I'm glad that it seems like, every time we keep talking about it, where it's like, it started off where I was saying, yeah, like you figured out in the offseason. And then maybe a month ago, I felt like, yeah, Quickley's available, but the price is so high that I don't see a team even being able to meet that. And I know we're riding the high of this last game, but I mean, I'll just say it. We've moved even further into the point, at least I feel we have. I'm sure there are other fans who felt we've been in this spot where it's just like, no. There are very few players in this league that are untradeable, untouchable. I'm not saying Quickley's untouchable, but I'm at the point where it's just like there's just no reason whatsoever at this point in time to move him. Because if we're looking at the realm of possibilities of like quote unquote stars and superstars who are available, there is no one in my mind. I'm not saying Quickley's a superstar or anything of the sort. It's just there's no one in my mind who can replace exactly what you would lose with him, which is someone who solidifies your bench, who should be starting, but is again, like what Tibbs was saying, like he's a starter in a bench role, so to speak, where like he's closing games. There's a reason he's there. He's so much better than the role he has. And again, I don't mean that in a shot at Tibbs or anything. It's just, he happens to be on the bench and he is a starter, and that's fine because he's closing games. Like I've said, he's doing a great job. He deserves to be in that conversation. What you lose by dealing him, I just don't know how you replace it.
This is obviously it's about the valuation. Like, would you trade Immanuel Quickley for Luka Doncic? Yes. That trade is not on the table. Right. Amongst the realistic trades that could possibly potentially be on the table, you are not, I think, if you're the Knicks, given what he means to you, not getting the value. You're just not. On that note, I'm very curious to see where you go with. I think I know where you're going to go with this one, but we'll see. Game ball. Okay, let me take a deep breath. Here are the candidates that Mr. Claudio has so graciously written for us. Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, Immanuel Quickley, Isaiah Hartenstein, Obi Toppin, Deuce McBride, Derrick Rose, Evan Fournier, Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose, Brock Aller, Walt Perrin, William Wesley. I believe it's James Dolan.
Yes.
Yeah, James Dolan. Kendrick Perkins and Giancarlo Navas, our friend from Miami. You have the honor, Jeremy.
I mean, everyone. Even you, Giancarlo. Congrats on making the cut, I guess. I already shouted out Randall, shouted out Quickley, all deserving. Obviously, Brunson is deserving. I'm going to show love to RJ Barrett because even if he's not at the top of this list, and I don't mean that to say as like, yeah, but it gets lost in the fold what he adds, that wrinkle that he adds to the offense, the ability to drive, to score, to just open up so much of what they need. He locked in defensively. He had the stop on Tatum that was huge to force it. It gets lost in the fray. And I know we've talked about him as kind of is he going to be the piece that gets you the next piece? And quite frankly, we could talk about that conversation later. We will talk about that conversation later. Right now, it's completely moot to me because he's not going anywhere this season. And that's great because he's adding something of value. So I just want to shout him out because I feel like I have been harder on him than I usually might be because I still am a huge fan of his. It's the consistency. That's all I want is just consistency. And he scored 14 points, right? In the first quarter against Miami?
No, against Boston.
Yeah.
Big,
important. Incredibly important points. Yeah. So he had it going and really great to see from RJ. So he's my guy.
I can't believe this is going to happen, but Immanuel Quickley's not going to get a game ball because I'm going to give it to Julius Randle. And in the same spirit as you gave it to RJ, I'm going to give it to Julius. I said what I said after the Miami game the other night and you referenced it. I'm not going to repeat it, but I think there were a lot of content creators out there who were probably hard on Julius Randle. I was one of them. And for him to have a game, again, think about this player who is going to be, I'm pretty sure at this point, a 2-time All-NBA player, which if you could just brush that off, Basketball Reference is right there for you if anybody needs it. You could sort the list by players who have made multiple All-NBA teams in their career. It's not as long a list as you'd think it is. And boy, are there some names on there that you're like, wow, that guy only made one All-NBA team. That guy only made 2 All-NBA teams. Julius Randle could add himself to that list. And I say that to emphasize the fact that my 2 cents, this is the best game of his career in Miami. And it was an absolutely massive game. It would have been, for me, and I don't know about for the Knicks, they're very resilient, but for me at least, it would have been very devastating if they lost that game after the way they had played the game and how well they had played. And and to lose to Miami, it would have been so disappointing. And just, we don't have to worry about any of that because Julius made that freaking shot. And for as much as Immanuel Quickley did something in Boston that I'll shout out today's newsletter. I went and did the research on how many players in the history of the league had put up the stat line that Immanuel Quickley put up in terms of points, rebounds, assists, and no turnovers. It's not a long list. And if we throw in, he got 4 steals, it's a really short list. With all due respect to him, had an amazing game, the game of his career so far. I'm giving it to Julius Randle. So congratulations to him, RJ Barrett. Congratulations to everybody. Detention, another week off. It's good to me. The cobwebs are starting to form in the old detention room, and that is absolutely okay with me and with us. And now we get to...
Are we doing another game ball per the instructions quickly?
Oh.
Andrew wants to... This is actually your opportunity.
Okay, yeah.
You go first, because you can now give out the game ball that you wanted to.
Immanuel Quickley, and I'll just say in the spirit of that stat that I was referencing, players in NBA history with 38 points. What was it? 8 rebounds and 7 assists, or 7 rebounds and 8 assists? I think it was 8 rebounds, 7 assists. 4 steals and 1 or fewer turnovers. Michael Jordan did it twice. The Pistons, Isaiah Thomas did it once. Gary Payton did it once. Karl Malone did it once. And now, Immanuel Quickley did it. So he'll get my other game ball.
My other game ball will be going to Josh Hart.
I love it.
There was just a closeout he had that I was so impressed by in that Celtics game. 9-0 since he was acquired. Quick side story, though. I wonder if, as you know, shout out to Josh Hart. I'm sure he's making a huge impact. I can't help but wonder if I'm actually responsible for this win streak. So for context, the night of the Sixers game, I was with 4 friends. Most of them listen to the pod, so I'll shout them out. Jordan, Ethan, Isaac, and Josh. Congrats, guys. We did this thing, John. There's no way you would have heard of it, but it's called a Borg, B-O-R-G. Would you like to know what it stands for?
Sure.
It's called a blackout rage gallon. So basically, you take a gallon of water and you dump out a cup of it, and then you put a cup of alcohol into it, and you put like Crystal Light or lemonade or some sort of packet, and you drink the whole gallon. I'm 28 next month. And basically the way that you operate is you just keep drinking it. So we did it for the Sixers game, and we finished right when the Sixers game ended. When the Sixers game ended, that was the start of a new leaf where the Knicks turned it over. So I'm not saying we drank the Knicks into a 9-game winning streak so far, but I'm not saying it. So if I can't be vain, I'll go with Josh Hart.
You should get the game ball. Which leads us to your real prize. And again, what has once again become my house of horrors. Not that I'm complaining.
No.
Predictions. So Jeremy won the week after giving me the opportunity to take 4-0, and I said it last week, and I stand by it. I took 2-2, and I said if they went 4-0, I'll be thrilled, and I am thrilled for as much as it stinks to lose. You are now 10-7. I am 7-10. I think we're at the point where if you win one more week, you guarantee yourself at least a tie.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that accurate? Okay. Here's the week. Charlotte, Tuesday at home. And then we start the West Coast road trip Thursday at Sacramento, and then back-to-back in LA over the weekend. We'll have some more to say about the Clipper game in a minute on Saturday. That's a 4:00 start, 10:00 start for Sacramento. That's a TNT game. And then Sunday, 9:00 ESPN. What do you got?
Well, John, my head says 2-2. My heart says 3-1.
Okay.
I'm going with 3-1 because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I picked 2-2 and they went 3-1 or 4-0. I'm okay with losing if they go 2-2. I'd prefer it if they didn't, but I couldn't do the opposite. So, as you said in the pod last, the post game, 3-1 and 2-2 is yours for the taking if you don't take 4-0.
I'm thinking it's the Monty Hall problem, right? Where it's like you pick door number 1 and then you have a chance to like change your answer, right? And I forget. Actually, I shouldn't have even opened this door. No pun intended. If it's mathematically advantageous to switch your answer at that, I think it is mathematically advantageous to switch your answer at that point. I don't know if that's relevant at all. I don't even know why I brought that up. I'm not switching my answer. I'm doubling, tripling down. I'm going 2-2 again. And again, same thing. Again, if they go 4-0 and we're sitting here a week talking about a 13-game winning streak, then again, I levitating doesn't even say how I'll be feeling. But I'll go with 2-2 because since you took 3-1. Okay. On that note, before we finish up, Jeremy Cohen, some quick announcements.
Yes, we got 2 really exciting announcements. The first is we are going to open up our playback to everyone in honor of the 9-game winning streak that's currently going on. We want as many people to join in on the fun as possible. So you're listening to this most likely on Tuesday, March 7th. If you are tonight, we are watching the Hornets game. Come by. It's a lot of fun. We have a blast. We just
look for the link on Twitter.
Yes, link will be posted on Twitter. So that'll be that. And then speaking of events, we're really excited about our in-person event on the Saturday, March 11th at Penn 6 on 32nd Street, right, John? 31 West 32nd, is that the address?
It's on 31st between 6th and 7th. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, you can find it on Twitter. I'm sure John will mention it in the newsletter. It will be abound. But what's really fun is we're actually going to be doing a raffle, and it's free. All you have to do is show up. No money, costs you nothing except your time and the fun that you get to spend with us. We're basically going to give a raffle ticket to each person. With that said, if you tag Knicks Film School on Instagram in your story, you get another ticket. If you shout us out on Twitter, you get another ticket. We are not on TikTok, I believe. So as of right now, that is not an option. We'll see. If we are, we'll let you know at the time.
The point is, we want to give away as many raffle tickets as possible. So, like, yes. if you come and you're cool with like whoring yourself out on social media and showing how much you love the Knicks and that you're partying with Knicks Film School, you're going to get a lot of chances to win some. We're not revealing it now, right?
They're cool. Yeah,
trust me, you're going to want to be here for the stuff that we're giving away. It's including a grand prize that is. I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be vague and I'm gonna say you're gonna want the grand prize.
And it'll be one ticket per like media, right? So like you show up, you get one. You post on Twitter once, you get another. You post on Instagram your story once. You can't like post multiple times your story to get multiple tickets, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have a blast. We're really excited to see people. And let's try to stretch us to 13. Start with 10, move our way to 11, hopefully get to 12 for the watch party, and get to 13 from there. That would be great.
If they could take care of business against the Hornets, which again, don't take any game for granted in the NBA in 2022-23.
Yep.
If they could take care of business against the Hornets and they could win that Sacramento game, which I think that's going to be a tough game. And if they could go in to Saturday, I don't even want to say the words. I don't want to jinx it. Penn 6, 31st and 7th on Saturday. Come game starts at 4. We'll start getting there by 3:30, if not earlier. We'll be up in the lounge down at the bar for overflow. Just come. It's going to be a great time. Jeremy Cohen, thank you, sir.
Always.
This was good.
Yes, it was.
This was fun. Yes. It's great to be a Knicks fan right now. And it's even better to talk about this team because we have the best fans in the world listening to us. So thank you, everybody, for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Don't forget, if you dig the show, really, we appreciate everybody who takes the time to give us a 5-star rating. Even more so if you take the time to write a review. If you like what we do here, without question, the best way that you could help us out is those 5-star ratings and the review. It doesn't take you long, and like it helps get exposure out there for us. We snuck into the top 10 of basketball podcasts in the country, top 100 sports podcasts in the country this week, which is wild. So, if you like seeing the podcast that you like, get to those places, help us get even higher. And, rising tide lifts all ships, I think. So
I got one request. One yes. Real quick. If you're listening to this and there is at least one friend, if you love this pod and there's at least one friend you know of who does not know about Knicks Film School, just tell them. It'd be cool. We just want to keep growing the community. So, but everyone, thank you. Stay cute. Stay safe. Let's go Knicks.
That's it.